All right, so the question is, can Bitcoin be staked? And the simple answer is no, but there is something that you can still do, so I will explain that. So the simple answer is no. Staking is only for coins that use proof of stake as a, let's call it a validation mechanism. And Bitcoin doesn't use that. It uses proof of work. Now, other coins used to also use proof of work. So the most famous is Ethereum, and then Ethereum changed to proof of stake, and it works in very different ways. New blocks are basically, you have a number of validators out there, not miners, and validators exist because they actually they stake their own Ethereum, and there's a mechanism where, due to this, they also, several of them will validate new blocks on the network that contain the new transactions. That's a very basic way of putting it, but what it also means is that anybody holding Ethereum can stake it as well and get a return. And just to be clear on staking, just because you stake, let's say, on Ethereum or any other proof of stake coin, it doesn't make you a validator. So for example, in Ethereum you need to have 21 ETH to take up the role of being a validator, but you can still stake as ordinary Joe Blogs or whoever you are. Anybody can stake. And by staking, what you're actually doing is you're still providing benefit to the network. You know, there's increased security. Your stake is collateral, protects against malicious actors attacking the network. It makes it more decentralized. Even a small staker, you're still contributing to what's called the consensus mechanism. You know, community engagement and all the rest of it. And obviously, the main reason to stake is to earn. So when you stake, you lock up your position and you earn, and you know that just means that just the fact that the network has people holding the underlying coin is beneficial. It makes it sort of less volatile, and it's just generally a good thing that to have a lot of hodlers, basically. Now, what about Bitcoin? Can it be staked? Well, not in the same way. Obviously, there's no proof of stake. It uses proof of work. There are miners out there doing computation and waiting for block rewards, creating new blocks, and all the rest of it. However, there are other ways that you can earn on Bitcoin, and there's actually a new way now, and I believe it's on Coinbase, where some company, I think it's Morphos or something, what they let you do is they let you pledge your Bitcoin as collateral in return for a loan in USDC. And then obviously, once you've got this stablecoin USDC, then you have various options. You know, you can, if you wanted to, you could swap it for ETH or some other proof of stake coin and stake that ETH, or there are other ways as well that you can earn. So there's potential there. Now, another thing that you can do, because this phenomenon of Morphos and getting a loan in stablecoin is relatively new, but something that's existed for way longer than that is, what you can do is you can buy some ETH. You can then swap it for a token. And you probably know that there are many different tokens on ETH. One of those tokens is WBTC, which means wrapped Bitcoin. So it acts just like Bitcoin. It's basically backed by real Bitcoin. But if you have WBTC, it's an ETH token, and I think like most, if not all, ETH tokens, you can use this in DeFi protocols. You can stake your WBTC and get rewards from all the big places like Aave, Curve, Yearn, etc. You can, also provide it to liquidity pools. This is a bit like what you might do on Uniswap or something like that. And then in return, you get a share of the fees. You might even get other rewards as well. There's yield farming and stuff like that. Now, there is a risk, obviously, as soon as you wrap something, you then have a risk there. people have different names for this risk, but it's basically custodial risk, because your Bitcoin is held by someone in return for you receiving the wrapped version of the Bitcoin that is more useful if you want to earn on it. But yeah, that is the primary way of earning of Bitcoin. If you ask me, can it be staked? Well, directly it cannot be staked, but people are willing to. You can use that as collateral in a number of different ways and basically earn on it. Now, just like staking anything else that supports, let's call it native staking, in most cases it will be locked up and you can't access it for some period, and you'll get paid over that period. And when this is something you agree up front, when that period is over, you can then get your original Bitcoin back. But during that period you can't access it. And yeah, there is a risk of something potentially bad happening and that you could lose it. But this is the same even in traditional finance. Whenever you put something up as collateral, there's always a risk. It's not in your hands anymore. It's not under your full control anymore. It's not in your full possession anymore. Something could happen to it. And that's why probably the best way to describe it is custodial risk. I mean, I mentioned before the stable coin as well. With a stable coin, that's also pegged, so there's a risk that it could be depegged, etc. But yeah, anything that takes it away from its native form introduces risk. So if it were me, I would look to do things in the most well recognized, safest ways possible, and then that additional risk that you're taking on in order to get that reward is going to be minimal. It's going to be pretty minimal. But stuff can happen. I mean, you remember what happened with SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried. During that, people who were staking, they lost money. There was the other thing as well with Terra Luna as well. The people who had staked Luna, they also suffered as well. So yeah, there are issues with staking. It will never be 100% risk-free. It will never be 100% safe. And it's just a general concept in general with anything financial, that if you there's always a risk to get reward, and that's just the way it is. And you have to decide. You have to obviously try and minimize that risk, maximize the reward, and then look at the ratio and decide, is this for me or is this not for me? And you could say that about anything related to anything to do with investment. So anyway, I hope you found it interesting, and let me know what you think in the comments below.